There are a lot fewer two-parent families.
What's worth more, $1 today or $1 tomorrow?
Almost nobody gets out of love alive.
Prisoners' rights is out of sight, out of mind.
Is your brain on God?
You ain't ready to
There are discussions as
How they thought
black families we have to have them.
What's worth more, $1 today or $1 tomorrow? What's worth more, $1 today or
Welcome, folks, to Reality Gurus, the show we take a commonsensical approach to issues through complex conversation. I am your host, G. Cleve. We're going to get into not-for-profits and how they benefit us in the Black community. I got a couple people here to discuss this with me. I got Miss Tashi. Miss Tashi, how are you, Miss Tashi?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Listen, Miss Tashi is the founder and executive director of Tutor The Bronx, Inc., not-for-profit, and it is based in Bronx, New York, is it? All right,
Yes,
listen,
sir.
man. Welcome to the Reality Gurus.
Yes.
Now,
Thank you.
DB, what's up, champ? How
Yo.
you doing today, man?
I'm chilling, man. I'm glad to finally have my sister Tashi on, which, this disclaimer, that might be a little bit of shit talking. I can't say that for sure, but it's possible.
You didn't warn me about that one, man.
Yeah, my
Nah,
fault.
but listen,
Go ahead.
we open all of that, man. All right, so Miss Tashi, go ahead. Let's tell us a little bit about yourself, the little work that you do. Let the people know.
Well, right now I work as a instructor at a Catholic school. I'm a private tutor. I've been doing that for a long time. And then I founded Tutor The Bronx. I worked for in the government for a while, and I did a lot of training of other individuals, and that's where I found my interest in teaching. And I've been trying to career change for a while. And as a person with a unique personality, I wasn't able to fit into a lot of the alternative training programs that they have out here. So I made my own road.
I hear that. Now, as far as
started doing it my way.
yeah, I hear that. As far as Tutor The Bronx is concerned, tell us a little bit more about that.
So Tutor The Bronx, the mission is to provide tutoring services for children that can't afford it. Tutoring is expensive historically. The prices can range from, in New York at least, the prices can range from $20, $25 up to hundreds of dollars an hour, depending on what you're looking for. People will pay it, but a lot of times that they'll pay it and then can't maintain it, or they can't afford it at all. And then they have a lot of nonprofits out here that provide tutoring service, but it's not as intense as it needs to be. I don't feel like it's as comparable to the children's needs. And they have to go to those entities, or they get it in a school setting and they're not able to give them as much attention. So Tutor The Bronx is aimed at alleviating the financial burdens of that. Right now we focus primarily on family literacy. As a mother, it's important for my two Black boys to be on task and on par so they can meet their highest potential. So it's important for me to relate to other mothers and other parents, so that they can get their head around the fact that they are an integral part in their child's education. There should be no point where you step away.
Now,
until they
so you work with both. I'm sorry. So you work with both the parents and the children at the same time.
Yeah, it's important to include family literacy. That's what it's defined as, learning amongst the parent and the child. Because their child looks for their parent to teach them everything: language to start, manners, how to walk, how to talk. They learn walking naturally, but they learn balance with their guide of their parent. They learn speaking and different words first from their parents, or whatever people are around them. So as a parent, it's important for us to buttress our children. And me, like I said, raising my own two boys, I know it's important to be there for them. A lot of the parents that I deal with, especially of lower income, they may have lower education levels, or they may be in it sounds funny, but based upon the definition of the word, incompetent in certain areas. So they need that. They need to feel encouraged which is part of our motto, encouraged to help their
Hmm.
child.
What is the age range of the students or the, I guess let's say, participants?
I can personally, I can tutor
Hmm.
anybody. That doesn't mean every subject. Most of it, I've at one time I was tutoring from 6 to 64 was the oldest person
Oh
I had.
wow.
Um, yeah. Right now we focus primarily on K to 5. A lot of programs are focusing on middle school because that's like the mindset for college, and then high schoolers, of course, they have to focus on those higher advanced testing and those types of things. But I feel like if the foundation is not set, they're gonna have a problem going
Hmm.
forward. So K to 5 is important because those foundations need to be there. As a professional, I find that a lot of times these children are in certain grades. Like recently, I encountered a situation where these kids were in 6th grade, but most of them had fourth and fifth grade level reading. So you have those issues where you need to get them on par before they get to 6th grade and get that college level mindset, and then onward.
Okay. Now, so it's obvious there is a need that this not-for-profit has served. So let me ask the question: as far as the formation of it, did you have any challenges with like getting this stuff implemented? In the Bronx, like any types of challenges with this that you want to share
It
with
is
us?
definitely a challenge. I don't. Every state is very different. There is a baseline that I know you have to incorporate, and then you have to file your 501c3.
Hmm.
Some
Well, real
people
quick before
start a
you
business or
501(c)(3). Now I have the basic knowledge of that, but if you can just explain just for the people if they don't know what the 501(c)(3)
okay.
is.
So some people feel like you can just start a nonprofit. Yeah, you can. It's not a nonprofit as an entity. It's just a project
Right.
that you're doing. Legally, you want to form the nonprofit via whatever state department you have. So I'm going to talk about New York State. So you file with New York State, and then you proceed to either begin your efforts, or you can go straight into the 501c3 process. The 501c3 process is basically your legal
Gotcha.
status.
Gotcha.
So your legal status for taxation and commerce, excuse me. Um, as we know, the government is big on commerce. So um, a nonprofit means that you're exempt from taxation federally. That does not mean that you don't have any
Hmm.
oversight. That means that the government is saying, I'm giving you permission to be tax free. But in that permission to be tax free, I'm going to watch everything you
Gotcha.
do.
Gotcha.
So we have to file, you know, it's called a 990. Depending on the budget of your organization, you'll file like one person files a 1040, one person files a 1040
Hmm.
ED. So depending upon what area you fall into or bracket you fall into, you're gonna file those respective forms: 990, 990E, 990N,
Gotcha.
whatever it is. Um, like I said, that exempts you from a lot of things.
So
Without a
does the type,
501c, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, does the type of nonprofit matters, like how yours is more educational based? Would that mean
Yes,
anything
it
different
does.
from? Okay.
So a 501c3 is the category that I fall in.
Mm.
So there's like categories, subcategories. So the 990 is what I was talking about with regard to taxation, right? That's how you file your taxes. Taxation, that's your tax
Hmm.
bracket. The 501c3 is the type of organization I have. So 501c3 is the category. So it would be education, charitable, civic associations with membership. It's like different
Hmm.
things. Then you'll have 501c19, you'll have 501c4. But those are different types of organization as it relates to what activities you
Right,
participate in.
right. It's interesting that you
Okay.
say that because just my own experience with not-for-profits back in 2005, a couple of brothers and I started one called Maru Strategies. Maru stood for
Mm,
Morality, Academic Achievement, Reason, Uplift, and Freedom. It was like a leadership development program, and it was based in Brooklyn. So
okay.
we were actually acquired our 501(c)(3). We had our designation and everything. And I asked you about the challenges because we stay here today and this not for profit no longer exists. We had went through tons of challenges. So that's why I was asking like what some of the challenges that you might have gone through or currently going through. Um,
The okay. So one of the biggest challenges is
hmm,
funding. And I was just about to get into that. So 501c3 status allows you to open yourself up to a lot more funding. If you don't have that, you could be incorporated without the status and you'll be in limbo. So without the 501c3 status, they don't even want to talk to you, because a, a person that provides you a grant, whether they be a nonprofit themselves or a for-profit entity, let's say AT&T gives me money, they want to get a benefit. So the benefit is, I'm providing these monies to a nonprofit. That's one. So it looks good to them. And then two, when they go and file their taxes, they're going to get that
tax break, right? That
combined
deduction,
in tax
exactly,
break.
right?
Yeah. So they can give to you, but that's sponsorship. But if they donate to you, funding to you, that is a tax break.
Exactly, right, right,
Instead of an expense, it's now a
right,
benefit to you.
right. Indeed.
So that's one. That's one of the biggest things. Dane had forwarded me like a point of reference article, and it was about nonprofits having issues. One of the things I did before I started this was find out what I can and cannot do. So one of the things that allows me to continue to go on is that I personally take my income and pay certain things, because I know I'm going to get it back or get it tax breaked off the organization
Right,
eventually,
right.
right? I'm going to be honest. But at the same time, a nonprofit can provide services at a cost to the community, and that is fine as long as it's aligned with the mission. So like, I have a tutoring nonprofit. I can provide tutoring services at a fee to people. It may be a reduced fee, but there's a fee associated with it. And from that fee, I will pay, for instance, I have a few people that work for me. I will pay the person and I will take off the top, let's say $3, $1 to admin, $1 to bank fee, $1 to whatever. So you're able to continue to fund your nonprofit through whatever activities or services you're providing your
Right.
community. Just like if you have a nonprofit health clinic, that doctor gets
Indeed,
paid
indeed,
because he's billing
indeed.
Medicaid. He's billing whatever health insurance. But that nonprofit, that mission is going to say to provide health services to the community for indigent people, da 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 da. As long as it's aligned with your nonprofit mission, it is
Gotcha.
fine. But no, like I said, the oversight comes in. It has to directly relate.
Right. Now, as far as funding, because that was one of our biggest issues, are you getting grants? Do you have, fundraising, or like how do you guys get your funding outside of? Because I'm thinking, you may have the intent of actually charging for the tutoring services, but I'm not sure. Did you start out that way, always charging for the tutoring services? Right.
No, I started off out
Right.
grinding,
Right.
like
Okay.
just doing it for free. And I would take money out of my pocket and pay whoever I had to, because people have to travel. New York is not free. Everybody doesn't have a car. Excuse me. You have to get on the bus. You have to get on a train. So I'd pay people out of my own pocket. So a lot of it is a lot of pro bono work, free work. Um, the thing about funding is that you can't go to a funder and say, give me money. You have to show
Right.
them that you've done
Right.
the work. So you got to put the legwork out first, and then they have to take a chance
Right.
on you. You may put out 100 grant applications or 100 interest letters or whatever, and get one. So like, that's why a lot of nonprofits fail, because these nonprofits that we're up against are 50 years
Right.
old, 20 years old. They've been doing this for a long time, and when they start getting their grant writing application, they have 20 years of experience
Right.
behind them.
Right.
They have Harvard educated volunteers to do it. So it's like we're grinding, we're grinding because we have a novel or novice position. We're fledgling. So grant funding comes when you do the
Right.
work first. So you have to struggle. I had to get my mind
Right.
around it. Like, I had to be
So
like,
then, what would you say for someone who like had aspirations, or like creating or founding a not for profit, and was having this funding issue? They trying to decide whether they go not for profit or for profit, especially if you're talking about not being able to benefit from like the government grants and funding right now. What's the
yeah,
benefit for going not for profit versus for profit in that type of situation?
not for profit is your heart. When I
Mm.
really when I
And
incorporate,
that's
Interesting.
what I'm
go ahead.
asking because I think most non-for-profits are usually cause-based, right? Like it's not going out there to make money. It's just something that you believe in. On top of that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I
Okay.
mean, there was a. I'm
No, no,
sorry.
no, no. I'm just, be a little. I just think that's a slippery slope because I know there's other institutions that get 501c designations, and it's
Hmm.
not necessarily for a from the heart thing, but that's another story. I mean, you go ahead.
Yeah, but like I said, it's for the
Right.
taxation costs,
Right, right, right,
just
right.
like a church.
Well, I agree, but I'm saying like, all right, we're talking from the perspective of like maybe
Right.
like in Tashina's case, like I don't know if anything has to do with your education background as well, but maybe seeing a need for a specific reason.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, there was a month where I cried every day. Like I'm like,
mm,
yo, you know what? I'm about to revise my idea and change it to a for-profit entity. But my heart is in it because I'm a Bronx girl. I've lived in tenements with holes in the floor, rats next to me, no running water. I've
Mm-hmm.
done it, and I'm a mother. So, I really did it from the heart. When it comes to for profit, some people I know a few people that have done this. They start a for profit, they build their name, and then they do a segue and do a nonprofit and then kibosh the other, or they keep that other business entity running for whatever reason. Like there's ways to
Right.
do it where you're still in your legal, propriety or being proper legally. Um, these people once they start for profit and they make their money, they have their lawyers, they have people to advise them. From what I see, you can definitely segue and put a nonprofit and put the name very similar, have the name the same, and then have a different designation on the end, and then start that as its own arm and run a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
through it. You can
Mm-hmm.
do that. You can. I mean, the government looks at it as two different things. They're not going to look at it as subsidiaries unless you make it a
Right.
foundation.
Right.
That's
Right.
different.
Now, what do
Yeah.
you think? I mean, just overall, what do you think the contribution really is? That not for profits bring to our community. What do you think the contribution is, man?
In general, it provides a resource of things or services that we necessarily didn't have, access to
Mm-hmm.
to us for
Right.
free or minimal cost. Um, the reality is a lot of people don't make a lot
Right.
of money. We don't see that because they're living off of whatever they're living off to subsidize their
Mm-hmm.
life. But a lot of people don't make a lot of actual dollars in their hands, and especially in New York, you know, some people, they want to go to the doctor, they can't find one, they go to the nearest clinic, they find one, they deal with the
Mm-hmm.
doctor because that's what's near to them. So that entity helps them because of proximity. They may not be able to see the best specialist because that doctor, that specialist is far away, so they go to the nearest whatever, and that nonprofit serves them in
Right.
that way. So it's an access issue,
Right.
or access resolution, that nonprofits serve, or enlightenment, that nonprofits serve, or food pantries are access. Food pantries are cost
Mm-hmm.
helpers. Those types of things. It's just a matter of being able to
Gotcha.
access
What
them.
about you, DB? And what do you think the not for profit?
you know, the thing I was thinking a lot, and I actually want to dig into what you were smiling about because that seemed interesting. But because one of the things that I was originally thinking because we had conversations about certain things like the Promise program,
Right.
with the Promise startup, and some things about criminal justice programs. And one of the things I remember coming out of that conversation is this thought of getting rid of some of the privatization and some of the money from other companies outside of certain programs that affect the community. But I kind of think about like when Tashina talking about the oversight, if it's that much different, because you still have, I guess as far as running the actual organization, you probably have more of the power with nonprofit, but you still have a bit of
Mm-hmm.
oversight. So I guess my wonder is like what are the differences technically between running a actual business and a nonprofit? Because a lot of it still sounds like the same amount of work for the most part. It's just the designations is slightly different.
If No,
Go ahead.
if were you directing that to Tashi?
To
Because
anybody, to either one, because I've never been a nonprofit
being
anyway.
that I've I've had a chance to have a taste of both sides. It's the only difference is like what she was discussing with your like tax designation. Like your 501(c)(3) allows you to accept donations, right? And you accept these donations, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. That's like what this 501(c)(3) designation allows you to do. That a for profit, you
Hmm.
can't have something like that. So as far as the workload is concerned, it's the same thing. I mean, if I mean, it's the same thing, you still have, what are you, founder, executive director, right? I'm pretty sure in for profits, you'll see something like an executive director, same type of a situation. You know what I mean? That as far as how I was thinking. But Tashi, if you have a different spin on that.
It depends on the industry you're in, quite frankly. This too. Like, all right, besides the money, the 501(c)(3), the second thing is like we said, the oversight.
Mm.
If someone says Tutor the Bronx did not provide me services or they're running a scam, the AG's office could come and handle me.
Mm,
I have to be my oversight comes directly from the AG of New York State, not only from the federal government in regard to how my money is handled, not only from the state and how my money is handled. What I'm doing, my practices, all of those three entities, I have to submit docs to them. The AG wants to know about your ethicalness,
mm,
how you administer, how you handle your actual business. It I would say my organization compared to a mom and pop shop, I can't compare it to a large
mm-hmm,
entity.
Mm.
They can do whatever they want with their business because it's
mm-hmm.
theirs, depending on how it's formed. You could be a sole proprietor. They do what they want in their shop.
Right, right,
Mm.
right.
So
I
even with
can't.
that though, you're still going into an industry, right? So how it's like you already mentioned kind of how you have other organizations that's been doing it for 20 years, and you're just coming in. So I'm taking it the reception's a little bit warm. How do you, besides doing bono work, how do you try to etch your way into that industry?
I'm a rebel, yo. Now because listen, I have a young man that I'm acquainted with, and he's about 20, like late 20s, and he works for a councilman out here. And he was like, "Listen, you black, you a female, you don't speak Spanish, you're gonna have a hard
Wow.
time." He's straight up. He was like, because the nonprofits in the Bronx at least are really like with each other. Most of them are run by white people or Spanish people. They all mix with each other. So these little kids, little fledgling nonprofit, little kid nonprofit, kitty ones, have to get in that circle. I was like, listen, I'm gonna do my own thing because I'm not really with the kissing butt. So with me, what I've been doing is just a lot of legwork, just like when anybody's starting any business. I treat my nonprofit like it is a business, but I'm always cognizant of what I can and cannot
You know
do.
what's interesting?
I'm always cognizant of what I
I,
cannot do. And from my heart, I always worry about if I'm charging somebody $20, I gotta know $2 come back to the organization.
mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I always have to think about that in the background. There's no money in this for me. It's a lot of money going out. But the way that I'm building my name is through working it the way millennials work it. Social media, doing the legwork, finding a friend, helping somebody out, letting them tell, word of
Mhm.
mouth. Because those big entities, all they have is their reputation. So I gotta build one.
Let me ask you. Let me
That's where
ask
I'm
you.
at.
It's interesting because on the for-profit side, especially when you
Uh-huh.
start talking about funding the government, federal government, the black woman, honestly, there is so many programs out there for you guys. So many programs, women-owned businesses, minority-owned business, combining the two. Um, it's interesting for you to say that on the not-for-profit side, you're having so much of an issue. You actually mentioned, you say white people and Hispanic are actually dominating this space, when I would think that you guys would actually have a better chance. So, is the government not having that type of, support on the not-for-profit side for you guys?
Well, I'm gonna give you quite an example to answer your question. I went to the SBA
Mm,
thinking that I could get some help, and they was like, "We don't do
SBA,
nonprofits."
Small Business Administration, right? Right.
Administration. It was like, "We don't do nonprofits."
We don't do that.
Bye.
Wow.
Mm.
Wow.
Okay.
So,
Wow. Wow. That's interesting.
We don't help nonprofits. Bye.
Well, I guess that's just across the board,
so
though. That's not, just related to. Okay, so then.
Yeah. This is a. I remember. I remember years ago I met someone, and he was like, "Listen, this is another world." And I have a master's degree. I have a little bit of insight on nonprofits per my master's degree. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know anything. And that's why I say when it comes down to for profit or nonprofit, it gotta be in your heart. Because if it's about money, you're not
Mm,
getting it.
mm,
You know, people say they
mm,
will donate, but they
mhm,
won't. They want your
mhm,
services. They don't want to come out for it. They want your services. They want it for free. They say they will support you. Okay, right now I'm doing the event, and quite frankly, I'm crowdfunding, and I hope that people will donate. A lot of people that know me personally and know my work and have had the benefits of my work have donated. A stranger
mm,
donated. This guy that likes me
mm,
donated. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to those people that see my work and like my and tap like on Instagram or whatever or pass my work, they do not
mm,
donate. So I'm at the point where I was feeling down about the fact that I wasn't getting any donations. Right now, you know what I did? I went to corporate sponsors
mhm,
and I was like,
mhm,
listen, 501c3, hey, how you
mhm.
doing? And I'm waiting for their responses. If I don't get what I want in regards to the money that I need, I'm gonna do it my own
Right.
self. I'm gonna do it because that's where that heart comes in.
That
I have
Listen,
to do
man.
it.
I tell you, how many guests do we have where when you hear that sentiment right there, that, like, fuck it. If y'all ain't gonna donate, I'm gonna go
you
ahead
know,
and get it popping myself. Oh my
Yes.
this
god.
that's the part that's kind of depressing a little bit, brother. Because I hear that, and I hear the fact of we always talk about not having shit, and then when people actually come
Exactly.
with something, we don't
Exactly.
support it, and that's kind of
Exactly.
depressing. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Let me tell you, they will go, and this is my premise. Why are you gonna go to Huntington Learning Center and Sylvan Learning Center? You know how many black women have degrees? How many black men have degrees? Tutor your own
Mm,
community. But yeah, you going to Sylvan Learning Center to get what? Unless it's a specialty, don't go outside of your community. You have people, you have resources, but they will skip past me and go someplace else. You don't have to go to me, but I'm just saying, and go someplace else when I'm giving my whole heart and soul to it. I even refer people to other entities that I know of that are legit. Like, I mess
mm,
with them. My goal in the end of 2018, 2000, going into 2019 is to have a fund of money so that, let's say you have to go to Silver Learning Center because they have a specialty. If they charging you 100 and I charge 40 for that same thing, I'll give you the difference. Like, I'm at that point where I want to give back to my community so bad, but it's like you're going to the Red Cross, which you passed mom and pop's
crazy.
clinic,
That's crazy. It really is
and the
crazy.
Red Cross ain't doing nothing for us.
It really is crazy.
Okay, so it's just like, for you say it, but you're not about it.
Right.
Right.
Y'all go into the fets. You know how summer is in
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn. You go into every fet, spent $100. Your girl has a community based organization, and you can't donate 10.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
Most of the people that don't want to donate to me, they say they don't want to register their card.
Register there.
Their card.
The card, the debit card, is that what you mean? Yeah,
Yes.
but you could do that for anything else, which
And
is
but
crazy.
again, that's
Yeah,
that's the BS, that you go.
yeah.
But I mean, I brought that up, because people, they talk that. So, and that's why I relied on us. Like I said, we got that 10,000 in 6 years. It did nothing. Majority of work, labor, and then just expenses that came out of our pockets, man. You know what I'm saying? So, and again, if our heart wasn't in it, we wouldn't have done that. So, that's why, the not for profit was the way for us to move with regard to that. But it didn't last because we couldn't sustain it. We couldn't get any
Yeah.
funding, and at some point you just can't put any more money into it, your personal funding.
Yeah.
We're not getting any
I
assistance from
totally
the
agree.
community. We having issues with, there's like schools like well, first of all, I recently found out that New York City is well resourced, right? And it has been for a little while now. And I can't understand why, when we were doing the not for profit, we had such a hard time just getting a couple dollars, regularly from the Department of
Hmm.
Education, and we were providing a leadership development program. I mean, we were one of these not for profits trying to take these boys out of Brooklyn down to Atlanta so they can see some things. I mean, the struggle was real, to the point where we just had to, disband it, and it was over with,
And
unfortunately.
like in the for-profit industry, it is who you
Hmm.
know, right? So like, if you know somebody who knows somebody who works at Board of Ed, you're gonna get on the
Hmm.
right path. A lot of the nonprofits right now, or for-profit entities that work with Board of Ed, they go directly to the partnership department and they get approved or not approved. They're bilking money every time they see
Hmm.
those kids. So they may be free to the kid, they may be free to the participants, the kids in the school, but they're not free to
Right.
DOE. So DOE is paying these entities to
Right.
come in.
Right.
And I understand that everybody has to get paid. There's oversight. I would love to be a partner with DOE because that would give us consistent
Right.
money. And I also want to say that I only want to give jobs to community
Hmm.
members. I want to give jobs to, and you have specialties, but give jobs to community members. So it would provide jobs, internships to younger kids that can tutor. Let's say they're A students, they can tutor others, and they can get their little part-time
Hmm.
job on. But if you don't know what to do, you don't know who to reach, you don't know somebody who knows somebody or knows somebody that knows the path to take, you won't get it. So now I don't care. I'll be like, hey, I got a question.
Mm.
Can I ask you something? And it's the way I was taught in grad school to write for public administrators. That
Hmm.
stushness, I had to get rid of it. I had to be like, hey, I'm a mom on a mission to Tutor the Bronx. I've been doing this. I spent $470 to do this, and I did this, that with $470. What can I do with your thousand? Let me tell you what I'm about to do with your
Hmm.
thousand. It's like I'm selling
Right.
myself.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, now, how do you feel about having to do that? Because, well, first, how do you feel about having to go to those lengths? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it hurts. It really does hurt because, like you said, you guys were a group that were doing the right thing for your community and doing. You guys were actually innovators because back then they weren't
mm.
doing that.
Now, see,
They were doing it, but they weren't doing it like for us by us,
right,
FUBU style.
right, right.
Mm.
Okay, there's a lot more others doing stuff for our community than we are. So now you're innovators because I know they got like Man Up Inc. in
Hmm.
Brooklyn. You're innovating and they're like, "Oh, you're new. We don't know this style. We're not sure. We're not." No, baby. Hey, how you doing? I'm gonna show you what I'm
Hmm.
working with. So I took on that mindset after researching like the same article I was telling Dane that Dane showed me. Those types of articles I looked into. Treat your nonprofit like a
Mm.
business.
Got to. It. You have to. You have to.
You have to, because if you
Mm.
don't learn the ins and outs and you don't know everything, I don't know everything. But if you don't treat it like a business, it's not gonna
Hmm.
thrive. I'm thriving on right now. I got $330 in the bank for the
Hmm.
nonprofit. I'm about to make that 330
Hmm.
work.
I hear that. I hear that.
I don't get anything out of it. And when TD takes their $10 a month, I be tight.
Right. I hear you.
Mm.
I hear you, but that's a
Okay?
grind right there. That is a definite grind right
Yeah, it
there.
hurts me
Yeah.
to know that you gotta like beg and plead, But there's a lot of other community members that in my area, at least, they're black bankers. They're like, listen, let me tell you what to do. They're
Right.
helping. They
Let
can't
So
me
handle, but
before
they're
you
helping.
for
let me ask them another point real quick because I know you said that when earlier that you said that when you hand out your services, your tutoring services, and you do it at reduced prices, how do you keep yourself from not raising those prices just to get that little bit of extra money and put it back into the business?
I don't.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
seriously. I mean, you know, when you don't have this is a home-based nonprofit. So we're
Right.
doing projects. We don't have an office, you know? So I don't have the overhead that the Red Cross has. I don't have the overhead that Bronx Works has, where they say, well, if I'm providing it, or okay, those entities don't charge for most of their things. There's some entities, nonprofits that do charge. So those ones that do charge, they're trying to fill a gap of money that they're missing.
Right.
So when they
Which is
have
why,
to
yeah, yeah, yeah.
when they have to add that executive director that's not the founder, unlike
Mm-hmm.
me, they got to add another dollar to Homeboy so they can make that 50 at the end to pay the
Right.
executive director.
Right.
So that's where I don't have that
Right.
issue with regard to charges. But I do have an issue in regard to having to maintain what I'm maintaining, legal paperwork, having a consultant, having a lawyer. You know, everybody's doing free first service with me because if I don't have it, I don't got it. It comes out of my pocket if it's not donated to
Right.
me.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was a real struggle, man. It really is, man. And then the fact that because the interesting thing is we didn't get into the being able to charge for anything. Like we didn't get to any of that. Everything that we had, like I said, was either that $10,000 grant or out of pocket. We got no donations, zero.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, with not being able to have the option to just go and just sell something to make a little bit of
Mhm.
money to keep the business growing. Um,
Mhm.
Not for profits have that challenge. For profits, you don't. You know, at any minute I can, like right now we have a like commercial janitorial company. Right now I could go and just do a store and make some money if the business gets tight. Not for profits, you don't have that option for what I thought. But how do you actually charge for your services like legally? How does that fall under? Explain that part just so everybody else is clear.
I spoke about it earlier. It's as long as the services are aligned with the
Okay.
mission.
Submission. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
let's say I want to use bigger names because people
Mm,
know them. Let's say what is it? Let's say
Red
Red Cross.
Cross.
I keep saying
That's
Red Cross,
fine.
but Red Cross. They run out of money to do their annual AIDS or HIV testing. They'll say suggested donation for your HIV testing. Suggested. Okay, another example, the Met. The Met is a nonprofit, Metropolitan Museum of Art. They're a nonprofit entity. They have something that you want. They get their grants. They have a suggested donation on the
Mm,
top of their thing because they know that there's going to be an imbalance in their budget, or they want to have a pool of money so they can have that as a resource. So they're charging you. Excuse me. They're charging you for the service they're providing or the enjoyment that they're providing because that aligns with their mission of educating you on dinosaur
mm,
fossils and
mm.
paintings and those types of things. As long as it aligns with the organization, it is fine.
But the wording has to be suggested donation though.
No, it
Oh, it
doesn't
does.
have to
Okay.
be. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be. So like the smaller nonprofits around here, like there's one called Bronx Art Factory. I follow them because they're doing their own thing. They've been in existence for a few years, more than me. And they have like art parties and workshops and stuff like that. And they charge $8 for the kid because they don't have the
Gotcha.
funding. So that $8 is going to cover their
Gotcha.
overhead. That's not suggested. You got to pay a fee for this party,
Gotcha.
baby.
Gotcha.
But it aligns with their mission, Bronx Arts Factory.
Mm.
Gotcha.
As long as it aligns, and that doesn't when you put it on your line item, it says revenue. The only time that you're really talking about what you're doing is when you're talking to grant people or when you're talking to the oversight, which is the AG's office in New
Mm,
York State. So the AG's gonna be like, so where did you get this $8?
gotcha.
Well, I had a workshop and I had one child show up. It was $8 for the workshop. Here's the flyer. Let me show you the
And that
flyer.
and that way you don't get taxed on that money either, right? That revenue.
No, you don't get taxed on that money.
Right.
No, you don't get taxed on anything as long as you. As long you don't get taxed on anything as long as you're state exempt and federal 501c tax exempt.
Yeah.
You're not.
So let me ask another question real quick because I know Jay. Like I said, I want to kind of dabble into this because when we're talking about the reasons for to start a nonprofit, you smile. So I want to know if you have any examples or any other ideas why. At least put it out there so we have a deeper outlook at this world that
No,
people can get into if they do.
well, it just seemed like you were suggesting that when someone is looking to get a 501 or to achieve a 501c designation, that
Mm.
it
No,
was
well
from.
that's not what
No,
I
okay,
meant.
so that's why I smiled, because I was just saying that that's not necessarily the case. Is
No. And I figure that's where any kind of business. I mean, mainly what I was saying, and only because from the outside. But when I was looking up stuff about nonprofits, one of the reasons is usually the stuff about the charity donations, about causes. Is usually for a specific purpose compared to when you start a business. Is usually just for money. Even though you might be selling a service, it's not necessarily to fulfill some kind of need as far as the
But
community and
again,
so
that's
forth.
that
Does
yeah,
that make
but that's my
sense?
point. But see, that's where people can hide behind that. You see what I'm saying? So that's
Yeah.
what I mean by
And I figured out with everything. That's where everything. Yeah, I figured that's where everything. But yeah.
yeah.
But I was thinking that you had maybe something specific. That's why when you smiled, I was thinking.
Oh well, there was the interesting thing is right after that, Tashi mentioned something about church, right? As like she said, like with church, and that was what was going through my mind
Yeah.
because I know I don't know, man, it happens in Brooklyn. I think like sometime a year, there's these little pop-up churches, man. They just pop up on the streets and stuff. And I don't know how this works, if they get like a temporary 501c3 designation where they can hold church for like 30 days and take in donations and everything, and not be subjected to taxes and crazy. Has anybody heard of this before?
I've never heard of pop-up churches. I know churches get tax exempt. Those pop-up churches, I've
Well, I
never
mean
heard
But
that
you got
shit.
to
that's
remember that
yeah.
they could have been holding on to that. They could have been holding on to that all that time. They could have been like they could have had it and just pop up, get their money, keep it
and
pushing.
and that's what I mean by you hide behind these
Yeah,
little.
they could. I mean, I've never heard of it. I mean, I know some Bronx churches or churches that I've seen. They have their actual brick and mortar, and then they open up and do their thing, like they're delivering the good word, maybe. But I don't know. But I
Maybe.
mean,
Right.
I can say
I
that the
mean,
church is the biggest, and this is my opinion, is the biggest um like the biggest participant in the benefits of a
Yes,
501c3.
indeed.
mm,
Yes,
gotcha.